Welcome back, everyone, to our Beyond the Beeps community. This is episode 18 of Beyond the Beeps. And today I am joining an incredible mom, uh, passionate advocate, beautiful author, Jennifer. Jennifer Bernardo is joining me here. She is a first generation Portuguese American who just authored her first book, Week 26. I had the great honor to meet her in DC at NICU on the Hill in July, and have been really impressed and astounded with her ability to share her story, to help us all understand NICU life and how to navigate through all of the ups and downs of difficult situations, especially in the NICU. So, beyond being a NICU mama, she received her bachelor's degree from George Mason University and was once a journalist and on a kids' television show, which is probably why she's such a great communicator. She works in the real estate industry, excuse me, and also has put a lot of time into writing this book and working towards advocacy for NICU families. She does a lot of work with March Your Dimes and also in the realm of parenting, parenting multiples, parenting lots of children, working while parenting, a lot of things which we'll talk about with her later. Um, but she's shared in her book that her life is fueled by her children, her family, and her culture, all of which has made her who she is today. And I'm so, so grateful to have Jennifer Bernardo with us here at the Beyond the Beeps podcast. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super, super grateful to have you here, and really grateful from that opportunity that we had back in July. Um, was really great. I think something that uh, I really wanted to chat with you about was something that Representative Morgan McGarvey talked about in his talk. I'm not sure if you were there when he was talking about his processing his NICU experience. He had twins also in the NICU. And for him, processing the experience was to start making some changes legislatively. And hopefully, if any of his people are out there listening, I'd love to interview him and have him share with our Beyond the Beefs community as well. But um, I think when I read your book, and we're going to talk about it a lot here today, and it's all marked up and things, um, I felt that there was a lot of processing of the experience in the writing process itself, and going back over it and getting that opportunity. So I'd love to chat with you about that. But first, let's talk about Luke and Layla, your sweet baby NICU babies. What brought them to the NICU?
Uh, I had basically what they called a placenta previa, partial, and we had been monitoring it the week before all this sort of happened, but it had erupted in the middle of the night, and I ended up hemorrhaging, which rushed me to the hospital. They stabilized me and thought that things were gonna sort of be okay for the next 7 to 10 days. They were just gonna monitor me, but I ended up hemorrhaging, 2 more times before it just got really bad that, I had to deliver the babies. There was just no other option. So I was just losing so much blood that they had to get them out, and in order to save them and also save myself. So yeah, they were born at it was 26 weeks gestation. Um, Luke was 1 or 2 pounds even, and Layla was 1 pound 11 ounces. Very little.
But big for for 26 weeks, it's incredible. I mean, they really they grew a lot in there, and they did.
They did.
Um,
Yeah, they came out strong for sure.
my goodness. Yeah, so in this book, you talk, it has 3 parts. It's a part from your perspective, one from your husband's, and one from your daughter. And then I think and definitely your mother's voice comes in here too.
Yes.
Um, I'm wondering, when you began thinking about what you wanted to do um, to document this book or this experience? What brought you to writing?
It started sort of as a healing process for myself, as well as communication for those in the outside world, right? There were so many times where, you know, people wanted to reach out, but they didn't know how. They didn't know how often they should. But they wanted to know how things were going and how the babies were doing. And I just didn't have the mental capacity to update everyone all the time, every day. Um, and it was just it was, while it was great, it was a little bit exhausting. So, I created this or not created, but I joined this online forum where, it was private to just myself as well as my community, my family, my friends, where I could make updates. And they would get the update, they could comment on it, they could send me a note, and that way everyone knew how the babies were doing, every time I updated the website. So it sort of started there with just kind of tracking their milestones, when things were really great or when things went really bad, how much they were growing, um, you know, just tracking their goals and when they, "Look and Layla, grew 2 ounces today," or, I changed their diaper today," I mean, just the small stuff that were huge to me, and and it all started there, and then it was just sort of I would typically do it on a weekly basis, sometimes even every other day, just depending on their progress, and what I wanted to share, um, and I'm so grateful that I did because it was you know, going through that experience, sort of looking back, a lot of it is a blur. I mean, it's just you're in this survival mode where you just don't, you know, uh, you're kind of working hour by hour to kind of make sure you're getting one step in front of the other. And everything was on this, website. I could print it out. I could and now, I look back and I can just track their progress and just look at how amazing it was. So I started that's sort of where it started as far as getting things down on, writing. And then, my husband looked at me one day and said, you should just write a book. I think our story is inspiring, now that they're home and things are good and it's a powerful story to tell and to help others heal, and get through that process, and I was just, I don't know how to write a book. I've never written a book before. I don't even know where to start. But I continued to just put things on paper. I would sort of take what I wrote while in the NICU, and this was a year or 2 after, and just put it in an outline and just track their progress, and for me, it was just like this healing, um, journey for me to be like, "Look at where they were when they were born and look at where they are now." I mean, and what they went through. Uh, so, just put everything in an outline and just said, "Wow, this could really be a powerful story." Um, and that was it, and I just kept trucking. I mean, with everything else going on in life, it took me a while to kinda get to the finish line, but I pushed through and I made it a goal for myself to get this book published, not only for helping others, but also for my kids so that they can read their story, and be grateful for it. My oldest has already read it and, you know, once or twice, has a couple questions, but for the most part remembers most of it and loves it. And they love sharing it with the world. So it's a huge accomplishment. I'm so proud of it and I hope it can continue to help others moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a powerful testament, right? And allows a lot of us to bear witness to that. And I think it's also very, like easy to read. It's a very approachable. It's, you know, it's not too overwhelming. It's very real, um, but written in a very approachable way. I think, we're talking about you wrote it after, right? Thankfully, you had written those things down, and there's a passage in here that I would love for you to share with our community, um, that to me was, sort of a rallying cry for you to start that communication process because when you're listening, people might think, well, of course, it's easy to do now, but this was where you were then. And that's the beautiful part about this book. It's on page 73.
It's the beginning of the chapter called the NICU. When word got out that I had delivered my babies, my phone began flooding with text messages and phone calls from family members and friends. It was so hard to respond with the truth when asked how I was doing and if everything was okay. No, I was not okay. The babies were not okay, and nothing anyone else could do would change that. While I was happy to be alive and that my babies had made it out alive, the combination of our recent trauma and our unknown future was more than I could bear.
I think that's, thank you for reading that. I think that's, for those of us who are listening, knowing that that's how you felt then and it wasn't more than you could bear, right?
Right.
That's how you felt in that moment. And I hope that folks, when they read it here, they can say, I can feel like it's more than I can bear and I can keep going.
Yep. You
Because
have no
there's what
choice.
follows there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no
Yeah.
choice. Yep. You have to build
Yeah.
the resilience and you have to keep moving forward, stay optimistic, and hope for the best, day in and day out. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the message that I when I hear this, and then I heard you talk about in this book, you're talking about joining that caring bridge and starting to communicate out and starting to really receive help, receive people to come and support you because it was more than you quoting you, I could bear. And what I hear in this tremendously is you didn't have to do it alone.
no, I mean, there's so many resources out there that, the NICU experience was something I was not familiar with. I mean, my first child was born full term. She came home a couple days later. I mean, it was, natural birth. Um, I never really knew anybody who had a baby in the NICU for a long period of time. It just wasn't something that even crossed my mind. So, I think going through the process, you start to learn that there are a lot of resources that, you have out there. It's just a matter of if you want to accept them, if you want to reach out to them. And I
Right.
think every NICU parent should, utilize those resources. I think, thankfully, I had a lot of family and friends, that are very dear to me. My mother, we are super close. She was a huge part of my healing process.
Yeah.
And I had that support from her, which really, really, helped me get through this. And so the Caring Bridge, notes was also, it was a way to update family and friends, but it was also a way of getting back the comments and the support, the words that you're gonna get through this. It's gonna be okay, rallying for Luke and Layla and, rallying for our family and just
Yes.
giving us those words of encouragement, um, daily. So it was sort of a, I'll help you if you help me type thing,
Hmm.
sort of behind the
Well, the
screen.
nice thing about that too, though, sorry, is that being in the NICU is like drinking out of a fire hydrant. And it's on fire, right? So, I mean, that's in my mind, like there's a lot of information coming at you. There's a lot of concerns. You're trying to learn new language. You're trying to do a lot of things, and people really care about you, but they don't know how to show up necessarily unless maybe they've been through it. And even then, if they have the time or they have the right capacity for it at that point, and it can be a flood, another fire hydrant of people trying to help, and then they need a lot of help to try to figure them out. And I love this asynchronous component of whatever it might be, one person taking point, being able to journal, because then you can look when you're ready. You can see when you want to, right? It's not always like your phone's ringing and calling when you might need a minute.
Yep.
But let's talk about your mom.
Mm.
Um, and just a little bit. She's, you mentioned her a lot, and you talked a bit about her story too, and your grandmother's story, and how powerful, that sort of lineage that you guys have. Um, and there's a part here in the book when you talk about, you had mentioned that you had had the hemorrhaging, and so you were bleeding at home, and then you come back home, and it's all been cleaned up. Um, and this is something that, I think if there's other supporters out there, I know that's our role is to be supporters, my role in IC Baby and our mentors. And um, what are the what are the very loud, quiet things that people did for you to support you? So the big things that made a huge impact, but nobody really noticed. They didn't get they didn't really require much. One you mentioned just to start you off was that your mom had cleaned up the house.
Yes.
And so when you came home, you didn't have to clean up the house.
Yeah, specifically my room and my bathroom, where, the mess was, right? That led me to the hospital. She cleaned my bed, she cleaned my bathroom, the floor. There was no remnants of what had happened, and I can only imagine what was going through her head as she was having to do that. Um, but just having her support every day, making meals, helping me with laundry, just those everyday tasks that us as parents have to do on a daily basis. I could focus on my kids instead of all the other noise on the outside. Um, the kids' school provided meals for me. They did a meal train. That was really, really great. Parents got together and they signed up for a day where they would deliver a meal for our family. So we didn't have to think about cooking or what are we going to eat tonight. Um, and so that was really nice. Just checking in, friends sending, encouraging words via text message, that's fine. Even picking up the phone and calling. I didn't wanna see a lot of people because I would just break down. It was just really hard for me. Um, but sort of getting that support from the outside, was really, really important. And, sometimes those that you thought would reach out didn't, and it really teaches you kind of who are the important ones, who are the ones that are a part of your life that really, really care, even after week 1 and week 2 of being out of the hospital. I mean, they were there for almost 5 months, and,
Yeah.
the ones that stuck around month 4, month 5, and that time after, those are your true friends, and family, and that's what I would say is just keep providing that support, not just the day after or the week after, till the very end, because they're gonna need it. I needed it for sure. And while I didn't wanna go to events or parties or show my face anywhere because I was, still in a very, fragile place, I still wanted to hear from people. I still even
Yeah.
and I had certain people come over that I was comfortable with, and we just even it was just sitting there, and just talking about something else, just to get my mind
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
of it for 5
Yeah.
minutes, um,
Yeah.
was sometimes all that I needed. And then, you got the hospital support as well. I had a dedicated, social worker that, would reach out to me to make sure that I'm okay mentally, and that was important. Getting educational materials so you can understand the terminology that the nurses are throwing out at you every day.
Right.
Um, you know, there's so many resources. I've learned of so many foundations now, post NICU as I continue to be a part of the NICU community. But there's so many foundations out there, so many nonprofits that put their heart and soul into helping parents, that are going through this experience. And I hope that they, kinda keep getting their voice out there, and their names out there so the parents know who to reach out to, in this time of need for them. I didn't know of half of these organizations, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
Um
it is a lot of quiet work until you need it, you find
Right,
out.
right, exactly.
Um, so this is, I love you. We've touched a couple of words like communication, and this is support. Um, and all of these things sort of are creating a scaffolding to empower you in the NICU, right? To help you be more comfortable at the bedside, help you to show up the way you want to. Um, and the way we want to, especially if it's our first time in the NICU, or even if it's not, every experience is different. Um, there's a moment in the book when you talk about um, on page 61 here. Um, And, about being in my mind, I interpret it sort of as when you feel like a parent for the first time. And this is a common, topic that most of our families feel is a sense of powerlessness,
Mhm.
um, and a sense of disconnection because our babies were taken too soon, and it doesn't feel right, and we can't make sense of it. And there's a moment usually for everyone, which we really hope to have happen within the first 24 hours, but we know it doesn't. When doesn't always, I should say, you feel like a parent again. And I would like to start with that on page 61. And this is also with some background. Yeah. So this is when the nurses came to you and said, okay, we're going to put a pump by your
Started, of course.
bedside. Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Started, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, I can do that. I smiled genuinely for what felt like the first time in weeks. After constantly feeling numb and powerless, finally, something was in my control. Finally, I might actually be able to help.
This is an incredible moment to me. Um, and say a little bit more about what was going through your mind there.
I mean, it's exactly what you said. You feel you kind of have to surrender as a mom, and let the nurses and doctors do their job. And there's
Yeah.
nothing that you can do to help them, when they first come into this world at that, at that age. And when the nurse came in and said, "You can start pumping and start, providing, milk for your babies," it was I was, like, overjoyed because it was the first time I felt like I could do something and I could contribute to their survival. And so, when that first what they call liquid gold, comes out and, they put it on a Q-tip, and you put it in their on their lips, and you see them sort of sucking on it, as their intuition kicks in. I mean, it's just it's such a pivotal moment. Um, you feel like you're giving them a part of you, that you couldn't when they were born.
Yeah. 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 It brings tears to my eyes. I remember when I first learned from an incredible lactation consultant that we work with, she said, that colostrum tastes like the mother's amniotic fluid.
Mm,
And so it's such a reminder of home.
yes,
And then it tells that baby, "You're home. Mama's here," right? This
exactly.
is what you were used to, and that connection is just extraordinary. I also, think interestingly as you as a great communicator, too, and knowing how much you do, that you still felt like there and you just said now, like, there was nothing I could do in those first hours. There's nothing I could do. But you were, right? You were doing things. You were pumping this, you were doing this. And there's another thing that you did, that's really, really, incredible to me. Um, and we talk a lot about how parents can use their presence. And you even mentioned here in the book that, you were hoping that you and Joe, your husband Joe, that that your presence could help a little bit, could make a difference for Luke and Layla. And we know that that does make a big impact. So parents' presence at the bedside is not something that is taken lightly in the NICU world. In fact, it's highly encouraged to make it as much as possible, as in many ways as possible,
Yeah.
and using your senses to help your baby to recover from stressful procedures, using your voice, your touch, your milk, your just your physical presence there to help. your babies feel comfortable and grow and thrive. And I want you to read just one more. I know this is my favorite one. On page 79 at the top of the page, if you wouldn't mind just reading that first paragraph, because this is where I think this was really one of the first times that you saw Layla.
Yes.
Um, and I want you to share with us what you said.
Okay. "Hi, Layla," I whispered. "It's Mommy. I'm so sorry you had to come into this world so early, but you're doing great. Mommy and Daddy love you so much. We're going to be right by your side every single day to fight this with you. You will never be alone, and I have faith that you're going to make it through this. Your brother Luke is right across the room fighting with you, and you have a big sister at home who cannot wait to meet you." Yeah.
You narrated for her what's going on. I think it's, and maybe for yourself too.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time that was the first moment I saw her. And so I just wanted to talk to her. And
Yeah.
that was the first thing that came to my head. So, and I said the exact same stuff to Luke as well.
Yeah. And I think it's incredible how you used your voice for her and Luke and Angelina. There's sections in here, where you help her understand what's going on. Um, but your voice we think, oh, they're babies. Uh, they can't understand. And maybe not. They won't have that declarative memory. They won't be able to tell us, you remember when you told me that, Mom? You remember when you came in and you explained it all to me? But your explanation, your tone, your demeanor, your presence, you're helping her understand what's going on, helping Luke understand, helping Angelina. Those are the things that we know our babies do remember. They do have an emotional memory, you know?
Yep,
They Mom had my back, Daddy had my back. I
that's
went
right.
through that hard, but Mom told me about it. And she said, "Hey, heads up. We're gonna do this, but you're gonna be fine." And that's really amazing. It's amazing. Incredible. So something else that was done really, really well that I would love to, highlight here about the experience too that you share is with Angelina, who was 4 at the time or 5?
She was 5. Yep.
5, okay. So big enough to understand, but not
Mhm.
big enough to understand,
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
so that's okay. Something they did at the hospital that, really blew my mind was, preparing for her first visit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so she was not able to come to the hospital for quite some time, a couple months, because when they were born, it was during the winter season. So flu season was on, high. It was high alert because of, they didn't want the babies to catch any germs, so no kids were really allowed to come through the NICU. When she did get the green light, um, they welcomed her with open arms. I mean, they took her into a room and they basically prepped her. They explained, what a stethoscope was, and sort of gave her the knowledge to understand what she was about to walk into. Um, the babies were already in open cribs, which was great to kind of ease the situation a little bit. But they still had, the oxygen tubes and a feeding tube. And we really, wanted to prepare her before coming in. So they did a little exercise with her. They asked her some questions. They showed her some equipment. Um, she had to wear a gown and some gloves. So they put that on her. They also let her, decorate a little onesie for them. So it was, it took the stress out of it, and
Yeah.
really brought us joy. So we were walking down that hall and we were prepared and she was prepared and ready and just really, really happy to finally meet them. So yeah, the hospital did a phenomenal job of prepping her for what she was about to witness with her brother and sister.
Yeah, including her. We've had some, siblings on our podcast before, and, we have a group of siblings here that we work with regularly. It's really critical that they get included. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
um that's I really hope to take this and replicate it across all the hospitals because it's
Yeah,
brilliant. It's brilliant. It allows them
yeah,
to really feel part of it and in an age appropriate way and safe and all of those things. So that's wonderful.
yeah.
Okay. So what are Luke and Layla up to these days?
They are 6.5 now at this point, in 1st grade and, doing lots of sports. Luke's into soccer, they do karate together. Layla is in dance class, and, they're just being a 6-year-old. They're thriving, they're doing amazing, and they are very different. They have very different personalities. While they cannot be apart, they also cannot be together. So, they do everything together. They're in the same class. They watch each other's back, which is amazing to see, and witness, on numerous times, and they just look out for each other, and so it's great. So they're keeping busy, but yeah, they also have joined me at various fundraising events. We've gone to NICU reunions before. We've done fundraisers. They've raised a lot of money. They've been on stage before at a March of Dimes event and helped with an auction. I mean, they love it. They love, to share the story that they went through. They're proud of it. They ask questions. They love to see photos. Um, and so, I tell them every day that they're little miracles and they are an inspiration to other kids out there. So yeah, they're doing great.
Awesome. And you have not slowed down either. Not only are you a mom to all of these children with all their special things and having their wonderful opportunities,
Yeah.
um, you really stepped into advocacy in a new way, or maybe a deeper way.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I published the book, I've really become a part of the NICU community, that I didn't even know existed, and really trying to connect, and learn more about, you know, what others are doing to help other parents in the NICU. Trying to get my book out there to donating it to hospitals so they can put it in their lending library, so that other parents can read it. So helping out with fundraisers, being a part of the March of Dimes, they were a huge, resource for me, at my hospital. So I owe a lot to them and myself and my kids have really tried to participate in their events and activities and fundraisers, and just continue to raise awareness and advocate because, like I said, I did not know what the NICU was. I did not know the intensity of it. And I think other parents should know, or those, looking to have kids and hopefully nobody has to experience it. But if you do, this is what it is. And this is sort of how you try to get through it and the questions to ask, and these are the resources that you have, and I think it's important to continue to spread that awareness. I, hope to just continue to help other moms, not just in the NICU world, but just beyond that, just a parent of multiples. Getting through that multitasking. I'm a full-time working mom. I work in the corporate world, but I also try to use my spare time to advocate and do fundraisers um, you know, and get the book out and provide resources for other parents out there and caregivers. I'm working on a keynote speech now to hopefully get on various stages to share my story, and get it out there and talk about the importance of building resilience and perseverance and um, getting through a traumatic situation, and how to handle that. So yeah, just continue to be out there and spread the word, is really what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and you're um, in this process of healing. You're working on healing yourself in this communications and writing and speaking. I really think you'll um, you know bring healing and help others foster that healing process as well. So I really appreciate you putting your energy into this. Um, so I'm wondering, we always talk about hope in the NICU. I'm wondering what hope means to you.
I mean, hope is what got me through. I the subtitle of my book is, um, just a memoir of hope, faith, and perseverance.
Yeah.
Hope is staying optimistic. No, trying to continuously tell yourself that it's going to be okay. And trying to get through every single day, um, one step in front of the other and keep moving. And really just trying to turn uh, this experience, this traumatic experience, into something meaningful. That's the meaning of my hope now, is that this story can help others. But I'm a person of faith. I think, prayer is also something that got me through this, and it continues to push us forward in life. Um, but yeah, I think just knowing that it's going to be okay, or not knowing, but praying and hoping that it's going to be okay, was kind of my motto that got me through each day in the NICU.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, well, uh, you have a lot to share in this book, but is there anything that you'd want to share with someone who's listening right now? Somebody who's in the NICU or a provider or something that's listening right now?
I mean, I think if it's a NICU parent, I can't stress enough to reach out to resources, get help, ask for help, do some Google searches, kind of really understand what's out there for you, because there is a lot to support you. And I hope maybe that nurses and neonatologists, if it's a provider, the parent is going through this too. They're fighting this with their children. Ask them how they're doing. I didn't hold my baby for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
either of them for 2 weeks, because I didn't know I could hold them. Nobody told me, that I could, and when they realized that I hadn't, it was, they made a big deal, and they let me hold them right then and there, and it's just that communication, just communicate with the parents, really involve them in this situation. Um, Parents, be a part of their care times. Try to, if you are fortunate enough to be close to the hospital, try to be there when you can be a part of checking their temperature, changing their diaper, giving them a bath, um, providing them breast milk if you can, because that's really going to give you a sense of hope, and also make you feel like, okay, I can do this with them. I am their mom, and I can help, and I can provide, and it's really gonna help you in your healing process throughout your journey. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I think those are sort of, yeah, that's sort of the top, advice that I could give. But just, hang in there, is
Hang in
really what
there.
I tell them all the time.
That's right.
You will
Don't
get
let
through this.
That's right. That's right. Well, Jennifer, thank you so, so much for joining us here in the Beyond the Beeps community. And for those of you who are out there taking a listen right now, you're maybe sitting by your baby's bedside, holding their tiny little fingers, or walking at home, pacing while you're pumping, driving back and forth to work if you're juggling that, or maybe on your way into the NICU. Jennifer and I want you to know that you are not alone, and we look forward to being in your ears or on your eyes
Yes.
next time. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you so much.